This is a great turnout. Really happy to see everyone here. I'd like, while we're talking now, to get the members of the organizing committee to raise a hand, stand up so you can be recognized. Thank you all for your help and your hard work and your support. I'd also like to recognize Steve McHugh, who is here representing the McHugh family. This is the Mary McHugh kickoff luncheon that we have every year. Steve, thank you again for coming. We really appreciate it. It's nice to see you.
My daughter Carolyn and my granddaughter Maylin.
All right, thank you, Steve. Now I'll turn the proceedings over to Mr. Matt Kuntz, and we'll carry on. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. So thank you all for coming today. My name is Matt Kuntz. I'm the Executive Director of NAMI Montana, and we're so grateful to everybody's support. We're going to try something a little bit different this NAMI Walk kickoff lunch, and I hope we can pull it off. If not, the pizza's free, so hopefully you're willing to work with us. We usually give out our NAMI Hero Awards at our state convention each October. This one's in Billings, and we'd love to have y'all make it. You definitely won't. So we wanted to do this here right now in Helena, right before school starts. It just felt like the perfect time to say, let's stop and focus on what's been happening well and right in Helena and what we've done to do better. NAMI's partnership with the Helena schools, it's been an amazing journey. And we want to put you in that journey through the lens of our NAMI Hero Award winner, Joslyn Davidson. Wait, stay down. You got way longer to be tormented before then. So we, nope. And so I'll go, and then Josh, and then we'll bring you up. But this started for me in the fall of 1994, which was a little while ago. Nick had graduated, but it was a weird time. I was trying to go to West Point. I was at Capitol High School, and I had to have letters of recommendation. I had a lot of people that were willing to say that I could put on a football helmet and hit somebody. I had people that were willing to say I could wrestle people. I did not have anybody at Capitol High School that I felt would say that I would academically pass West Point. So after 4 years, it was tough going. And I reached out to my English teacher, Joslyn Davidson, and she was the first person from the school that believed in me that way. And there was no cause to believe. So I'm just incredibly grateful. So that's where this starts. And as we tell that story, remember why I kept saying yes every single time. And it started off in the fall of 1994. So if you fast forward 15 years to 2008, I had taken over as the executive director of NAMI Montana. And we came from serious mental illness. We exist because of serious mental illness, but people were asking us to do more. People that were very important to us, like Teresa Charlton, Kurt Chisholm, Judy Griffith, people that had lost loved ones to suicide were saying, we need you in the game for suicide prevention. And to be honest, we didn't know how. Like, it was just hard. And the status of the practices just felt so weird. Like, the evidence base, it was just felt weird. And thankfully, SAMHSA in 2017 came out and said that they got evidence-based practices all wrong. So we weren't wrong to think that it was weird and us being unable to figure it out. So we didn't know what to do. But at that time, Tiff Hansen came walking into our little tiny NAMI office in the Steamboat block. And she said that she had lost her niece to suicide at Sentinel High School and wanted to come to NAMI to make a difference. And she was willing to come in and take over as treasurer. She inherited a checkbook and a little shoebox. And we built up from there, but she said, we will work on youth suicide prevention. And she's never lost that focus. And so we had the will. There was no doubt at that time we had the will. And we also had some interesting things going on. This was 2014, and we had just started a research center at Montana State University. The idea of let's get research in the state of Montana so we can get better practices here. And we were going to do brain diagnostics research leading to treatments. It was an amazing vision. And President Wadette Cruzado looked at that vision and said, that's great, you're doing youth suicide prevention. And if you know President Cruzado, that means that you are doing youth suicide prevention. That is the beginning and the end of the conversation. So we started from there. And at that time, in 2015, 2016, there was a suicide cluster at Helena High School. And that cluster ripped the heart and soul out of our community. Like, the administrators, the teachers, the families, the students. That is what a suicide cluster amongst your youth does to a community. There's nothing special about us. It hurts. And it was really difficult for the school district because they had just spent years doing a mental health initiative. This was not coming to a place where people didn't care. This was not coming to a place that hadn't done a lot of the foundational stuff, but clearly something needed to change. And that was when Joslyn Davidson called us. And she said, we were having a meeting at the old administrative building. We want NAMI Montana at the table. And I said, I don't think that we're qualified. You know, like I don't think that we have that yet. And Joslyn said, you will be. The meeting is here, and we'll see you there. And I said, can I bring a friend? Because we're really not qualified. Like, legitimately, I need help. Just even come to one of your meetings. So I asked for Bo Smelko to come. Bo played football at Capitol, had just moved back as a psychologist. And he didn't say much for most of the meeting until what he did say was, at the end, this needs to be systematic, and it needs to be research proven, and it should work on actually addressing the kids' mental health. Like, be earlier, be preventative, and try to teach them the skills that they need to not end up in that situation. If you look at what the district has done since then, that's it. But it's also amazing because that's nationally and internationally what they've said ever since then. That research holds up today. That point that Joslyn brought to the table by dragging me by the ear and me dragging Bo by the ear is still the best view of the research that there is. And it's remarkable that that was Helena. In 2015, 2016, trying to figure out how to help our schools and how to save our kids. And it was purely because the district had the confidence and the humility to ask for help. And that is really rare. So we thought we were off the hook. Nope, Joslyn called it again and said, there's a group of concerned students at Helena High School, and they're angry, they're scared, they want to make a difference, and we want you to talk to them. And again, I said, I don't think we're qualified. You know, that's not what we claim to be. Joslyn said, you will be. You'll be Steve Keller at the front office and go and get it done. And I remember walking down with Steve Tennyson, and we were scared. You know, it was life and death, and everybody was scared. Everybody was hurting. And we went to those kids, and man, Joslyn was right. It was what they needed to hear. I came to NAMI because I was angry after losing my stepbrother to PTSD. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted to make a change. That was exactly what those kids wanted. And I kept harping on them. You need to tell us your goals. You know, don't just complain. Tell us your goals. Tell us your vision. And they said two very specific points. We want a mental health curriculum in our schools. We want to learn about this. We don't want to learn about this by having our friends die. You know, we want to know beforehand what this is and how to respond. And it was a specific call to action, which was exactly what the school district was thinking. Anyway, you know, it just lined up. And then the other thing that they said was, we want better post-vention. We want to go beyond the letter written by the attorneys. Sorry for the attorneys in the room, including myself, who have to write those letters. We want somebody like really informative, best case, post-vention, to tell us what to do, to tell us principals what to do, that superintendent what to do. And those were their 2 points. And I believe that's what we worked on since. It was those kids and their guidance, which again, we would not have been there without Joslyn Davidson saying, get in. We want you in. And so at this time, the Youth Aware of Mental Health program was developed in Sweden. It was a huge investment by the European Union. I think the biggest investment in youth mental health in the world for suicide prevention. That was published in the Lancet in December 2015. It was in the Helena School District that fall. The first place in the United States to bring that. That is still the best proven program, according to the research, that there is. You could argue that other ones are better. It's not proven. Helena School District got that from Sweden in 9 months and executed it, and has been executing it ever since. It's amazing. this stuff is horrible. To bring over something like that, it was a nightmare. And Joslyn worked to make it happen. She worked with the researchers, she worked with all of them to bring it in the schools. And the school principals and vice principals worked to make it happen. The teachers shared their rooms. I mean, it's a logistical nightmare. It's tough on the kids because you're working on emotional decision making. There's nothing easy about that program, but the Helena School District made it work. At the same time, Tiff Hansen, this was now the summer of 2017, Tiff Hansen went to work on postvention, like those kids had asked for. And she went and found Dr. Scott Poland, the best postvention expert in the United States, and said, NAMI, Montana will bring you to Montana to speak at the OBI conference in the summer. And it was an amazing presentation. The administrators in the room were amazed. The teachers, I mean, he just laid it out so clearly and so simply what a school should do on its worst days. And Dr. Len Lance was in the room, and Carl Roston was in the room, and we said, let's have this guy write the book. You know, like, we're done, we're hiring you, and we had a deal with him before we walked out of the room to write the Montana Crisis Action Toolkit on suicide, which Short Air Hospital, one of our sponsors, immediately said, we will pay to send this to every school district in the state of Montana. And they went and hand packaged every single one of them and got them out there. And then the Office of Public Instruction jumped on it. The University of Montana jumped on it. And then Butte had a suicide cluster. That toolkit was there for them. Kalispell had a suicide cluster. That toolkit was there for them. I saw the Kalispell superintendent crying based upon what he was able to do for his school because he just followed the toolkit. Toolkit doesn't exist if Joslyn Davidson didn't say, come talk to these kids. We need help with these kids. We need to figure out what they want. They said that they wanted postvention. It's a toolkit for the state of Montana because Joslyn Davidson asked us to go talk to those kids. Steve Tennis is saying, we are open to having you in our school. Let's see how to move forward with this. That's amazing. But that was where it came from. All right, so then for 2018, we have the legislature. We're bipartisan, biggest suicide prevention legislation that our state has had for kids. And we wrote the statute. And the statute said research proven practices. It was a new term for that because evidence-based had gotten so watered down. We got that term from the meeting that Joslyn invited us to. Now it was statewide, and it was because the Helena School District invited us in. But then things were going too well. In the summer of 2018, all of the fancy researchers that we hired at Montana State University left. This was like year 2, year 3 of YAM in the Helena schools. In Browning, in schools in Great Falls, it was already spreading, and these amazing researchers left. And Montana State University said, hey NAMI, you got us into this mess, you're gonna solve it. And we agreed, and NAMI sent me to Bozeman, and we were completely unqualified to run that research center. We didn't even pretend like we were. And I got a call from Joslyn Davidson. You're gonna fail. I know, Joslyn, I know, okay? We're gonna fail at running this unless you hire Kelly Edwards. Kelly Edwards was a teacher from Helena that had just moved to Bozeman, and she was available that summer. And I called her right after that, and I said, I don't have any idea how to pay you. This accounting system might take me a year to figure out, but can you come work for us? Can you take over the program? Joslyn Davidson said that you can, so please come and do it. And Kelly did. And we would not, that program would not exist without Joslyn saying, hire Kelly Edwards. When YAM is needing to be spread across the country, now they come to Montana. They come to Montana because it has the anchor of the Helena schools and Kelly Edwards at Montana State. Neither of those would have been possible without Joslyn. So then, and since then, it's in 30 plus schools in Montana. Rural, urban, native. Best researchers in the country are studying that program. It's not perfect. It's not gonna be the final one. It's one of them available. And we were able to play that level on a national perspective for youth suicide prevention because of the Helena schools. And then the Trans-Montana snowmobilers came and were able to invest in that platform to keep it going through COVID. And then there was another hard time. The suicide at Capitol High School in the parking lot. Hit the NAMI family really close. Colleen's son was in the school, was in the church parking lot as it happened. And we had those kids in the NAMI office that were his friends, and I can't say enough about what Principal Brett Zanto, all of the administrators and the teachers and the therapists and everybody that worked together did to get the school through that time. But it was also impressive because the Helena School District said, we need to relook at crisis services. We need to look at sustainability. We need to redo how we're doing this because we can do better. And it was really impressive for Superintendent Welts, Josh McKay, Brian Cummings, Joslyn Davidson, Ridgeway. I mean, the whole crew came together and said, let's find a better way to do it. And we were fortunate that Joslyn Davidson called again and said, okay, it's time to redo this. It's time to step it back up. And I said, we're not qualified. Again, still, because this is care coordination. It's not what we're doing. So I said, Joslyn, can I bring a friend? Again. And this time it was Zoe Bernard. Zoe Bernard had run the children's division, had run the addictive and mental health disorders division, just went to Blue Cross Blue Shield. And Zoe said, I'm willing to help you write the blueprint to do this. And the school district opened it up, and Zoe wrote it. She's now writing those kind of programs for the entire country. But she was there at that time because the school district wanted it, they were open to it, and Joslyn Davidson said, get over here. And yes, you can bring a friend. So it was pretty amazing, and we're so grateful to have Lana Carter in the position to help guide the Helena School District for what's gonna happen in mental health. We're grateful to be a part of that. It's been an amazing journey. But things with NAMI Montana have kept going. We ran a bill with Representative Cafaro at the last legislative session, getting youth suicide prevention funding to be paid for by marijuana. That was the only bill that passed for youth suicide prevention. For all this talk of COVID and youth mental health and everything else, one bill passed the legislature on that. And it was the bill that from Representative Cafaro, and it tied right back to research proven practices. The very language developed that day when Joslyn brought us to the Helena School District. Again, the state of Montana learning the lessons from the Helena School District. It was amazing. And then we had one last thing is, in this process, it might be clear that we run around the legs of national experts yapping like little dogs. That's what we do. Like, they're getting emails from us. Gary Malish has been pestering some of these people for decades. And Dr. Holly Wilcox of Johns Hopkins University is one of the best in the country. She helped develop the good behavior game. Everything out there she has studied. And she came to us asking for help. And it was help figuring out how to do this on the national level. The same way that we learned with the Helena School District, side by side. And it's in the archives of suicide prevention. We'll be publishing a research analysis in 2 weeks to tell the entire country what research proven practices are now, what evidence-based practices means, because it's tied back to a statute from 1965 that's hard to decipher. And it was us and Johns Hopkins and Cincinnati Children's with Dr. Landon Krantz. And that wouldn't have been possible remotely if Joslyn, Davidson, and the Helena School District hadn't kept coming and asking for help. So that's going to be for the entire country, is going to have that tool available. And I can't tell you how grateful we are to be part of the process. So. Nick, I want to bring up Josh. Okay.
Nice job, Matt. Thank you. It's tough to follow Matt. Matt told a comprehensive story there. First of all, I'd like to take a moment to have Helena Schools Administrator stand up. Everybody that's Helena School Administrator right now, please. Okay. I was going to go around the room and have you say a special story about what you did this summer, but I'm going to wait on that. Thank you. We're going to talk about the Helena School Administrators. Now I'd like for anybody that says Helena School employee right now to stand up. Like there's other people in the room that are employed with Helena Public Schools. Okay, we have Karen. Is Carrie here? She was here. She went out with the little one. Karen McHugh's here. Okay, thank you for your help. If you've been a Helena Public School employee before, please stand up. Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you. And then if you've been a parent of a child that went to the Helena Public Schools, please stand up. Everybody, get up and moving. And what about maybe a kid that's a student in the Helena Public Schools? Please stand up. We got Gary. Go ahead. Okay. So, yeah, was it Sophie? Fiona. Sorry. And then a couple of McKay girls. So thanks, Matt, for letting me speak. I appreciate it. Thanks for being in our corner, the Helena Public Schools, when we needed help. Joslyn, thanks for being a hero. You are a hero. You're a NAMI hero. She has a quote on her outside her office that says, "Relentless pressure gracefully applied. And she embodies that in everything she does. And everything is driven to help people. So our story in Helena, all of ours, I think it's really important for people to know what Helena is and what Montana is. So Matt and I got to reflect a little bit about that a couple days ago. But to be a Helenan means we support each other in our times of need. That is unique to our town. And then by doing that, or doing that for others, we grow up to be adults that aren't afraid to ask when we need help, or how we can do better, or how we can help our kids or our system. And so I feel like we have had that culture for years. And you know, Keith has given me that grace. Others have given us that grace. But in the end, it's because as kids, as teachers, we relate with people and we get each other and embody that moment where we want to get each other. So that takes purpose. You know, the YAM program, we had the Bullock Safety Conference the last couple days, organized by a couple people. The best part of that conference for me was the student panel that was up there. So, I mean, I always like to hear the student perspective of how we're doing. So one of the panelists, who's a college student now, went to the Helena Public Schools. She was at Helena High when the suicide, call it, cluster occurred. They had a suicide at the college she's currently at. That institution was not prepared to deal with that, did not talk to the kids. Her opinion was that that event was brushed under the carpet. So that was the perspective of a student. She went further to say, because she was a student in the Helena Public Schools, participating in the YAM program, having teachers, educators, principals talk with kids about what suicide is, what it means, how to help the others in that, and through that, she was able to help that college work through that for kids and for that leadership. So even though we're in our toughest moments, we work together to get the best solution we can for people. And so then that's what Helena is and does. And that's what I really want to embrace and challenge us all to continue to support those that support public schools that are doing this for people. So, you know, I know our administrators are out there working with people that are resistant to these things every day. And I appreciate the admin team for taking on those initiatives. We have PACS program in the elementary school. That's not by accident. That wasn't easy. That took many hands to keep going with. It is the best research-based cognitive behavioral training for kids to self-regulate so they can understand how to deal with the pressures of life, and we can do behavior kind of correction and intervention in the moment. It's huge, but that's not easy, and we have our team and our system embracing that, and embracing means we challenge each other, we work through it, we get it done. We have programs in the middle school, SOS. We have QPR and YAM in the high school, and that's not easy. So we commit to that. And you know, the Matt in the corner, we're always running stuff by him. And he's like, just do it. Don't worry, go for it. But we always need that little bit of advice on, are we doing this right? So that's profound appreciation of Helena, administrators, our community, and schools. Now moving on to kind of recent times. We're really excited about where we're at with basically behavioral health care for kids in our schools. Why? Because we know we need to embrace every partnership that we can to make this happen. So to Matt, he didn't talk about this, he did a little bit, but in one of those meetings, he's like, you should apply for a planning grant from the Montana Healthcare Foundation to do the work you need to do. So we did that. We applied. You know, Josh wanting to probably be perfect and do too much. Matt's just like, just get it done, turn it in. It's gonna happen because it's a planning grant. You don't have to have the whole thing done. It's a planning grant. Get it done, get it in. So, you know, he's in the air helping us out. NAMI Montana, Matt, always giving us that advice to go for it, support each other. So we hire Lana. This last year, she's like, we ran into something that we gotta do. This is a rural behavioral health initiative. It was a new project. pressure to our schools gracefully applied. We screened every 6th through 12th grader for mental illness, and then connected kids that were at risk through that program to either case management or services if they wanted it. Can you believe that? That's huge. And our administrative team and school system did that, I would say, in like overnight fashion. So for us to move the Titanic, that's not exactly easy, but because we have the courage to try, and now that we know what we can do if we utilize the resources around us, we achieved and are going to continue great things for that. We're also on the verge of some really strong new partnerships. Peerview's here. We're really excited about partnering with our federally qualified healthcare clinics around. We formerly and still do partner with Shodera, Aware, and Intermountain. We greatly appreciate all of those things with CSCT and behavioral health and other things. But our design with this grant is to utilize every healthcare option we have around us to help kids in our schools and help get healthcare to families and students at an early age. So we know that's the best thing. So we're really excited about the onboarding of a new project with our federally qualified healthcare clinics of Pureview and Helena Indian Alliance. And it's going to be great access for our kids and families to get something that they might not know they can get. And it's an improvement for a child's life. So because of this planning grant, Matt's initiative to keep pushing us along, Joslyn's, I'd say, common sense and drive and care for others, always in the background, doing we can do this. We're doing some great things in our schools that we're really proud of. And so immensely, we're proud of our community for supporting us in this. And please know that investing in your public schools and voting for initiatives and things like that that help us do our work for kids are going to help our community in the end, and embrace that. I would call it like a school faith or a Helena faith that we all have in caring for each other. So NAMI, you're central to all of that. Matt, you've been that backbone of support that we always know we can ask and be vulnerable with and try to craft a next best plan. So we appreciate that greatly. Your connection to Joslyn to you, has helped us get to where we are, and it's a better place. So we appreciate your work. Let's give Matt a big round. I truly don't think you're gonna know how much Matt does, because I really never knew. I never knew that coming to these luncheons early on as an admin, how much NAMI and you do for people. Joslyn knows, and we appreciate you, Joslyn, for being who you are and keeping the system rolling and plugging in those connections, that honesty, that truth, and that relentless pressure gracefully applied. You make us a better system, have for years, and I really know that we have many people doing that in our organization. So a NAMI hero really are all of those people that are doing that work behind the scenes and making it happen. And so this is one wonderful organization, and thanks for giving us a little moment to talk about some of the things we're proud of in our team. It's really important to us. Thank you.
All right, Joslyn, can you come up? We're delighted to give one of our 2023 NAMI Montana Hero Awards to Joslyn Davidson.
Thank you. I'm just going to tell a couple quick stories because Matt likes to tell stories. As evidenced a little bit by today. Going back to 1994, when I was, I think, a second or third year teacher, and this was, for those of you in the district will know what this means, there was no significant writing program, so I had 32 seniors in a classroom at that time, and it was kind of scary. I wasn't much older than them, truth be told, and so trying to manage it at any given time was kind of a little bit of a dance. So I remember exactly where Matt sat in the room, and I can't remember if it was a seating chart or you chose, but he was like right in the front. And I learned over the course of that year that he loved literature and that he loved to write poetry and all those things. But the thing that stands out, and I don't even remember what time in the year this was, but I was trying to do something, and the class was not settling down at all. They were being a little bit rambunctious. He turned around and told him to shut up, and you could have heard a pin drop in that room for the rest of the year. And so, like, who's really leading who, and who's really the, in charge of any given situation, becomes kind of apparent in those. He's always been a born leader, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and it was evident from that time when I met you. So thank you for that. I don't know if I would have stayed teaching much longer if I hadn't had a little support. But thank you. All I ever wanted to do was to get supports to schools. I grew up in Helena, so suicide has been a part of my life, unfortunately, from the time I was a student at Capitol High, where we had a cluster during the time that I was there, to during my teaching tenure at Capitol High and my administration at Helena High, and then with the district. And I have to say, one of the things that drove me, and Steve, I hope you don't care if I share this part, but I was watching Steve try to lead a building that was falling apart when he was falling apart too inside. But I have never, you rose to the occasion during all of that. I know that we brought supports in, but I watched you do something that very few people could do too. And so I feel like I have to extend this a little bit. It was a very, very difficult time for everybody, but he was very open to allowing some things to come in and help change, and I look back on that all the time, and your leadership during that time, and how difficult that was for you and your counseling team and your staff and your students. So that's what drives me when we talk about these things. And in turn, yes, the incident at Capitol and other suicides that have happened at Capitol, it's helped me want to do as much as I can do. That's why I do it. So to support your leadership. So I think I'm good. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming today. I hope I was able to tell that story all right, and I just want to say partnership that we've had with everyone in this room over the years has been so amazing. I'll never forget Helena College versus Carroll College. Yes, you won, David. Yes, you won. And I can hear Mike Franklin in the background saying, yeah, we were close. And it, like, year in, year out, the support of the Mahalishes, Kurt Mahalish and Jason DeShaw, all of these people, we're just so grateful. And just want to say, so I didn't say anything about the NAMI walk this time. So September 24th at Memorial Park. It's easy sign up online. Everybody knows the drill. We've got amazing sponsors. We're already at about $60,000 and almost halfway to our goal. I just want to say thank you from the bottom of our hearts for everything that you do, and we hope to see you on Walk Day. Thank you. And grab some pizza.